Right, so every department has tasks they perform on a regular basis and steps and procedures that will need to be followed in order to perform the tasks accurately and ensure no tasks are missed. But sometimes they are missed and sometimes people don't follow protocol. What we're going to show you today is a feature in MYOB Advanced called scenarios. And by having a scenario and adding tasks, it allows you to build up a workflow of who does what and when. And it's just a really nice way of entering tasks into the system and linking these tasks directly to screens and reports, and assign these tasks to users as well, so you know exactly who is meant to do what task in the process. It can be used for many sort of tasks in the system, but we're going to be doing a month-end closing process, which has multiple steps needed to be completed to prepare for the following period. To access the scenarios feature, we click on Configuration, Common Settings, and down to Scenarios. And here's a scenario already set up in this demo system for order processing. And clicking into the scenario displays a list of tasks in a logical workflow, starting at the top and working your way down from the first to the last step. But we'll come back to scenarios. So now let's start adding a scenario. You will have also sat down with your team and sort of discussed who does what in the process. So if you're thinking of a month-end process, who does the month-end and all the various steps which goes into that, like printing reports, closing periods, who does all that? Might just be one person, so it might be straightforward. But you might want to document this if there's multiple people involved in the process, or if you're away, then somebody else can pick up and follow this scenario in a logical process and do a month-end process without having to have much of a handover before you go away. Right, so we're going to add a row here, and we're going to call it a name. Let's call this the month-end process. And we're also going to save that. There should be another field along the right-hand side here. We're going to set this under where we normally do our closing processes, under the Finance, General Ledger, Processes, and Closing area. So here we've got our closed financial periods, which we normally do, but we're going to set this scenario under here as well, and it'll make more sense to you in a moment when I show you what I've done. Let's set it in there. All we've done at the moment is made a scenario header. We haven't assigned any tasks to that. And now we need to add a task. When we double click into it, we now open up the tasks window, and you can also see that we've moved down to the tasks option on the menu down the left-hand side automatically. So in this scenario, month-end process, we have no tasks listed here at the moment, but this is where we would then follow a logical process of what do we want to begin doing first. So the first task is going to be a header called Accounts Receivable. Give that a name. Something like that. And there we have our first task added in there. That doesn't mean much, it's just a header though. Then we add more tasks under Accounts Receivable. So what are the functions that you do to close off your Accounts Receivable process? Well, we print out our aging reports. So let's create a new task here. Let's give it a name. call that accounts AR, accounts receivable. It'd help if I could spell. Great. We're also going to add some more in here. Going to reconcile. We don't want to sit that there, so we can actually move that down a level and add another one. Close accounts receivable. So that's to close the period. Now, hopefully you've got more options than that you would do to complete accounts receivable, like doing statements, printing invoices, making sure everything is posted and released. But those are just 3 of the important ones that you would do at least anyway. We can also add accounts payable, so we could add another section in here for our accounts payable tasks. And move that to its own section. Keeping in mind that you always want to have things in a logical process. So it doesn't really too much about accounts receivable and accounts payable. You might be doing those at the same time. But with the general ledger, you might want to do that last, obviously. So we'll make the third and final one of general ledger and make sure that that appears at the bottom of the list. Like so. So there we have a basic structure of what workflows we have to do a very basic month-end process. But we can do a bit more about this. We can do a bit more to these tasks than just create names on the screen here. So what we can do is we can click into say this one here, the print AR aging report, and we can assign that to a screen in the system. So we have our aged outstanding report that you would normally print from the drop-down menus. You'd normally go to Finance, go to your Customers area and find your aging report, but we can link it directly from this screen here. And we can do that by going into the Screen Details tab and finding the screen, which is your aging report. That should filter on it, there we go. So that's just linked the aged outstanding report to this task. And when we run this scenario and click this task, it will automatically open this report. We don't have to have it linked to a screen, but where we do need to, we can easily link it to anywhere we like in the system. So this is the Close AR screen. Now I'm not too sure which number this is or what the name of it is, so I'm just going to search for this. If I go to Finance, General Ledger, Processes, down the bottom here, this is the one that I want to click on here. I'll open it in a new tab. There's our screen number there. I'll just copy that and paste it into there. And that should be, yeah, Close Financial. That should be as easy as that. So there we have linked 2 screens to 2 of our tasks. Now, you probably want to do the print accounts receivable aging report before you close your period, and likewise before you even reconcile the accounts receivable to your general ledger. So we can set up predecessor and successor tasks, successor processes. So by clicking predecessor, we can then, this one here, we can then say which, oops, daisy, let's come back there, double clicked a bit too fast, I'll come back into there. So these are all of our tasks that we have created, and we can tell it which of these are going to be the predecessor. So that means that I'm going to select Print AR Aging Report, and this Print AR Aging Report must be completed before I then move on to the Reconcile process. And likewise, the Close AR will only become available once the Reconcile process has been finished. So if I click Print, save that, come down to Close AR, there we go. That means that I can't accidentally close AR before I have completed these two steps here first. And by clicking on the Successor tab, I can then see automatically what the successor, so it's just the predecessor in reverse and it's automatically populated. I can't do anything in the screen, it's just a view. With subtasks, there's no subtasks assigned to these three tasks, but if I click on accounts receivable, then you can see the subtasks assigned to here. So again, it's just a viewing screen. It's automatically populated as you build this tree on the left-hand side. Right, so there we have a basic setup of an end-of-month process. I've only really gone into accounts receivable, but you can expand on that. You can expand on accounts payable and general ledger. But now let's assume it is the end of the month. Normally you think, where do I start this month? Which reports do I need to print? Where do I even go to? So you've got to go through the screens and follow your nose. And hopefully you're the one that does it every month and no one else that comes along and thinks even worse, where do I start? Let's give the normal person a ring and annoy them on their day off. So we'll go through and do this. Now at the moment it's just sitting as pending, but we can change this to open and that will make it available. Activate, I think actually. Activate. Yeah. So once you've activated it, now we can start using this scenario. You can see that it's not in our list here before. We chose to put this scenario under the closing section right at the bottom of this list. But if we refresh our screen, now that we've activated that scenario, we've now got a month-end process option. And here are our tasks in the list. The accounts receivable is open because that's not dependent on any other task, and so is Print AR Aging Report. But Reconcile AR and Close AR, we set up the predecessors for that to be Print AR Aging Report. So that's why they're pending and can't be opened at the moment. So let's click on Print AR Aging Report. We can start this task. We're going to start it and we can go to screen. Here we have our aged outstanding report. So we don't need to follow the menu structure to find this. It's just here. We're just following that workflow now. So I've printed that, let's say, and now you can see because I pressed start before, it's now changed the status to in progress. Still can't open this Reconcile AR yet though. I can't do anything there until we mark this as being completed. Once it's been completed, the status changes and now this one is now saying open, so we can now do this. We can start the task. This isn't linked to any screen at all, so this is where we would just manually have a look at our report, have a look at our general ledger account, think, okay, that's great, that reconciles, so we'll mark that as completed as well. And now we can see that close AR is open. I'm just going to jump back into here for a moment though. So what I did want to show you is you can assign this to certain tasks, to certain people in the organisation. So if you have an office person which prints the accounts receivable report, but you have somebody else which does the closing of the periods, you can assign those processes to certain people. Must be already open. Okay. I jumped ahead of myself a bit before, but what it would have shown there is the assigned to column, the person's name that this task is assigned to. And you'd also have that under my tasks, so only the tasks specific to you and not see everybody else's in the list. But that's not a bad thing. You might actually want to see all the tasks so you can see where in the process your step begins. So we'll go into Close AR. And we can start this task and go to the screen. Here's all of our financial periods, which we can mark off as closed. Let's say we did that for this month, and we'll mark that as completed. And so forth. So as we come down here, let's just start each of these now. You get the picture. Let's say we want to finish accounts receivable as well. So now that we've done accounts receivable and accounts payable tasks, it's all up to our general ledger. So the general ledger, all those reports that you would do, P&L, balance sheet, and closing of the general ledger periods as well. Okay, and let's start and complete that. And now we have a fully completed scenario for the month. Nice and easy. What we can also do though with these scheduled tasks is we can automate it. So now that we've done it for, what are we today, 22nd of September, if we did this, say, at the beginning of August, it would still be saying has completed this scenario because we've completed all the tasks. So we need a way that we can automatically say to this scenario, when we roll over periods, just open this scenario so all the statuses revert back to whatever they should default to, and I can begin the process again. We can do that under recurring scenarios. So recurring scenarios, prime example here, where we have a month-end process which happens, let's say, every financial period at the start of a new financial period, financial period, and we add this scenario. We've got two scenarios here, the order processes, but we don't want that. We just want our month-end process. And by adding this in here, whenever we now roll over, whenever this date up the top here goes into October, it will refresh our scenario, change it from completed status, it should be saying completed status now, and put it back to open with all of our tasks defaulting back to what we saw at the very start. So that in a nutshell, people, is how you can manage your various processes within the business. Have a think about where you can use this. I get asked quite regularly on how to do this. In fact, this is a driver for this webinar. Content from Nikki actually, who's here today on this very process. So feel free to ask questions. I'll hang around for a little bit longer. If there are any questions, just send them through. There's no questions at the moment. And feel free to have a look at help as well. The online help guide is very useful. and I'll just reinforce what I've just said to you today on how to use this feature. And also think about, what if there was a change in staff and there had to be a handover of duties to the new staff member? Would that suit a scenario? What if no one in the business knows the entire flow of a certain process? Would that be suitable for a scenario? And wouldn't it be nice for staff not to think about every little step required and the entire team be in the loop of where a process is at? That would probably be suitable for a scenario as well. Great, so thank you everyone for attending. Enjoy your day. I'll hang around for another minute or so just in case any questions do come through. But give it a go, check out the help, give us a ring. You're not going to muck up anything by defining these scenarios or tasks. Thank you very much.